What made John the Baptist great is he refused to settle for anything less than perfection. For what farmer works hard all season and waits for anything less than an abundant harvest? In the second reading, St. James wrote, "Be patient. See how the farmer awaits the precious yield of the soil. He looks forward to it patiently while the soil receives the winter and spring rains. You too must be patient. Steady your hearts, because the coming of the Lord is at hand." James advised patience because the spiritual life is not something that we accomplish and then check off our list. Rather, the nearer we stay to the Lord, the more perfect we become over a lifetime. While recovering from this concussion, I knew that the person I desired to be, but I had to patiently wait for growth. In both sickness and spirituality, all we can do is pray that God's hand be upon us. Psalm 139 so wonderfully says, "Behind and before you encircle me, and rest your hand upon me." Like a proud parent, God puts his hand upon our head or shoulder and looks down at us. He smiles, and like a good parent, he dreams of what we will become. That is our perfection. Parents don't rush children to grow, but rather patiently cultivate and wait for it to happen. That's the genius of Advent. We are waiting with the hand of the Lord upon us to become the true image of ourself. Our true image is not found in the reflection of a mirror, but in Christ's face alone. In the Gospel, Jesus asked the crowds 3 times, "What did you go out to the desert to see?" They came out because something was missing in their life, and they wanted more. They wanted perfection. And John the Baptist offered them the first step towards perfection, baptism. In baptism, we put on Christ, our perfect self. If the Christ child could have spoken from the crib, he may have asked the shepherds and the wise men the same question. What did you come out to see? They came seeking the true reflection of who they were created to be. If we are made in God's image and likeness, then only when the Lord is near will we be a perfect reflection of what God the Father has dreamed we would be. Advent is not just about passive waiting, but also active preparation. The 3 obstacles that hold us back from perfection are, first, a lack of knowledge of ourself; second, a lack of knowledge of God; and third, a lack of desire. First, our self-knowledge increases when we recognize both the dignity and the beauty of the human soul, and understand that when we turn from God in sin, it wounds and darkens our soul. Why is our soul so great? St. Bernard of Clairvaux said that the true home of God is not in the universe somewhere, but in the human soul, where Christ desires to dwell. Therefore, we must spend our Advent and our lifetime making our souls roomy enough and hospitable enough for God to reside. Second, we must increase our knowledge of God. St. John of the Cross said, "We shall never completely know ourselves if we don't strive to know God. By gazing at his grandeur, we get in touch with our own lowliness. By looking at his purity, we shall see our own filth. By pondering his humility, we shall see how far we are from being humble." In other words, to know God means that we know that there's room for growth within ourselves. The seed of faith planted in our soul by our Creator takes time to grow, develop, and mature. Again, St. James said, this requires patience. The final obstacle to spiritual growth and perfection is a lack of desire. What Olympic athlete goes for the gold half-heartedly? The same can be said about sainthood. We have to want it or thirst for it. St. John of the Cross said that the more the soul knows of God, the more the desire and the anxiety to see him will increase. Jesus invited us to come closer and to drink of his goodness when he said, "Let anyone who thirsts come to me and drink." And Psalm 63 reads, "O God, you are my God. I seek you. My soul thirsts for you." If we do not thirst for Christ, then perhaps we have drunk too much of the world. St. Francis de Sales warned, "Our hearts have a genuine thirst which cannot be quenched by the pleasures of this mortal life." Advent reminds us that the spiritual life is like the cultivation of a seed. We wait for Christ's presence to sprout within us. Then we find our perfection. For St. Bernard of Clairvaux said, "It is not with the steps of the feet that God is sought, but with the heart's desire. And when the soul happily finds him, its desire is not quenched, but kindled, like oil poured upon the flames."